So recently I became very aware of how much I use AI in my day-to-day life. It's also come to my attention that a lot of my coworkers have also integrated AI into their workflow. That being said, I wanted to make a video talking about all the changes with AI, how it's impacted my career, and my experience with it overall. I also want to preface with a disclaimer. I think AI is a great tool for you to utilize regardless of your profession. However, I do think it's important for you to take into account the ethics of using AI. For example, specific companies may have restrictions with data sharing, data privacy, so it might not be ethical for you to use AI with your workflow. You also might be a student in school and there may be some policies in place that prevent you from using AI. I also want to highlight the fact that AIs like ChatGPT aren't perfect. In fact, a lot of the time you'll find ChatGPT to be very vulnerable to specific mistakes. However, all that being said, I do definitely think AI is definitely very useful when it comes to a data scientist or data analyst workflow. There are four main ways in which I use AI in my day-to-day life as a data analyst. The first way is to learn. I believe I use AI to learn almost every single day, especially when it comes to researching new libraries or frameworks to use for a specific project. I'll give you an example. So recently I was digging into a lot of causal inference work and I used AI to help me understand and learn all the different frameworks within the Python language, such as DoML, DoY, Causal ML, Causal Inference, EconML, and other things. Once you get the hang of some basic prompts, you'll see how ChatGPT's outputs can be specifically catered to your individualized learning patterns. I also like to use AI here and there to test strategies or ideas to see if they would work in theory. This helps me save a lot of time and resources. I wouldn't have to code out the whole framework, try the pipeline, and see if it works in the real world. I could just test it with the AI and determine if it's a good fit there or not. So if you've been a programmer for about any amount of time, you'll understand how frequently you run into errors, and I think AI is a great tool to help troubleshoot those errors. I personally found that ChatGPT does an excellent job when it comes to explaining errors. You can also use it to navigate a lot of documentation to help troubleshoot or debug the error for you. Obviously, sometimes these errors are very obvious and you've experienced troubleshooting them yourself, so don't waste your time using AI for those specific errors. But if you're working with new frameworks or libraries and you come across an error you've never seen before, I think you should give a shot asking AI like ChatGPT how to troubleshoot or how to solve this specific error. When I troubleshoot with AI, I like to specifically design my prompts to try to understand where the error is coming from, what could be causing the error, and how I could possibly fix it. I think the descriptions or the explanations that ChatGPT gives you makes the process a lot smoother and more effective. I also frequently use ChatGPT to help me reply my emails, my Slack messages, and also sometimes to help me make presentations. I find that this helps me save a lot of time that I could be using elsewhere, and it also prevents me from making stupid spelling or grammatical errors. Again, I like to use a lot of examples in my prompts just so that the AI understands how I sound like, my lingo, and can produce an output that sounds somewhat like me. I also find that ChatGPT is very good at simplifying a lot of technical jargon. This definitely helps when I'm making my presentations for my stakeholders. It makes the story more coherent and allows everyone to understand what I'm talking about. Lastly, I like to use AI like ChatGPT to streamline my processes or do medial tasks. Sometimes my job requires me to do a lot of mundane tasks like transforming data, switching between languages, etc. I find that AI can do this much quicker than I can. Therefore, I often use ChatGPT to transform data from long to wide format. I also use it to switch between Redshift and Postgres, and sometimes I even use it to document my code, add a lot of comments and explanations within my code to make it more readable. I've even went as far as to use ChatGPT to make my README docs for my GitHub repositories. Like I said before, ChatGPT does a very good job at explaining instructions, so I definitely tend to utilize that aspect of it more. Again, I think it's important to know that AI is just a tool and I don't think it's intended to be a replacement just yet. I've been seeing a lot of hype on social media on if AI will take our jobs and replace us completely. Well, this is definitely a possibility. I don't think this is going to happen in the near future. Even with the incredible improvements of GPT-4 and the new code interpreter, I definitely do still see AI lacking in various different areas such as domain knowledge. Just from my experience with AI, there are a lot of kinks in the system that need to be worked out before it can even come close to being the automated solution everyone thinks it is. However, I do have to admit that I love using AI as a part of my workflow. It definitely does make me more productive and allows me to get more things done in a more timely manner. I also get to cut out a lot of fluff or mundane work that I don't like doing, so that's a bonus. Just like any other tool, I think ultimately you need to decide if this tool is going to benefit you and your workflow and do the necessary research before diving in. I think this has been a pretty crazy year in terms of AI development and technology progression. This definitely can be both good and bad for those of you who are just getting started. All the traditional data roadmaps that you might find online might not be just as effective anymore because there's AI like GitHub Copilot that just changed the coding game tremendously. What I would do is take into account all the changes that's happening in the field of data currently and figure out what requires human intervention, such as domain knowledge. Like most jobs, a lot of the technical skills can be learned pretty easily. However, other skills like understanding the business task or asking the right questions to get there require a lot of domain knowledge, which I don't think AI can get just yet. If you're able to truly understand or decipher what the stakeholder wants, comprehend the task, and if you're able to deliver on that, I believe that gives you a massive advantage that not many people realize. I believe how you get there, as long as it's ethical of course, is less important. Also, I know this video is on the shorter side, but I still hope it brought you guys some value. I'm also curious to know how you guys use AI in your daily lives, whether it be for your studies, your work, or your personal development. Anyways, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.